Good, good. So yes, soften your knees slightly, tuck your bottom under, drop through the ribs, broaden and open out through your chest, tucking the chin, lengthening up through the back of the neck. Imagine this balloon hovering and pulling up at the back of the neck there. And what you're looking at really is not doing a nod. So when I say tuck your chin, it's not nodding down, it's translating and pushing it backwards. Good. You should think about broadening out the chest. Now that shouldn't encourage a lot of tension around here. What you want to think about is low down around your shoulder blades there, drawing together gently. Good, good. Once we've got all of that nicely poised, take the weight from side to side, from one foot and the other. Draw in through your tummy. Good. Little bit of tension around here, but you don't want it to be gripping and grabbing too significantly. Just think about drawing in the same kind of thing that we do when we're lying on our backs, accessing that pelvic floor and deep abdominal muscles, just drawing in there. Thinking about what the rest of the legs do as you go from side to side. It's a nice place to start for a class, but to be honest, sometimes I do worry that we just kind of flow a bit from side to side without thinking about it too much. So making sure that you're tightening up through one thigh and then tightening the other thigh. Feels strange at first because it's not what your body naturally does. Good. Bring those feet that little bit closer, lifting one heel up and then swapping. Quite typical swap, ankle swap, whatever you want to call it. But let's add our arms in. One forwards, one back. This is knee from the side. One forwards, one back. Drop the shoulders. And what we're working on there is the different muscle groups that kind of govern this sort of alternate movement. When you bring one leg forwards, the chest should slightly rotate the other way. And that's what we encourage. Apparently it's really important that children crawl because that encourages this reciprocal movement, opposite arm and leg type work. And apparently it's all to do with their cognitive development as well. Really important. So all of you, if you get a chance, ask your parents if you crawled. Lovely. And stop there. I would like you to take the weight over onto your left leg, bring up your right in front of you and circle the ankle. Keep drawing in through your tummy, pull up tall. And then circle the knee. It's actually a hip movement that's going on there. So sorry, circle the foot. It's actually a hip movement. Good, and then those horrible ones we did last session, I think, out and in with the leg like that. Beautiful. Bring that leg down, take the weight onto it, squeeze and lift up through that leg. Pick up the other one in front of you and we're going ankle first. And then knee. And then the horrible one here. 1, 2. Already feels a bit easier though. I've done it a few times this week. Nice. It just shows how practicing things does make a difference. Brilliant. So what we're going to do next, I can hear a train coming and I'm aware that you can't hear me quite so well when it comes by. Let's let it go. Good. So, squatting and up and then onto the toes and down. And if you're anything like me, you'll have messed up that first one. So straighten out my mat again and let's get poised. Squat, up, toes, down. Okay, still sorting out my balance front to back. Squat, onto the toes, much better. Keep going. Nice. Just giving myself a little bit of feedback there. 2 more. And last one. Very nice. Turn your toes out with your heels together. And we're pointing that toe here, 45 degrees, and bending the standing leg so that toe will reach out that little bit further then. Lift and down, trying to keep those hips nice and level. 4, pull up tall, chest open. 7, rotate this knee out and don't let the arch drop on the standing leg. Good. Bring it to the side there, so it's right along at the side, and now a sideways motion. Your knee will still vaguely point upwards. 7, 9. Bring it in, other leg out, 45 degrees or so. Pull yourself up tall, everything pointing forwards. This knee rotated out, and off we go. And side, right out to the side, go. 5, 6. Lovely. Bring that in, and you should be feeling, it's quite an uncomfortable feeling around those glutes, the sides of the hips, essentially. Your major muscle at the back is your gluteus medius, but your gluteus maximus, the side ones are glute med. Okay, so let's step the legs out. These ones access those glute med muscles as well a little bit. So squatting down and come back up. Push those knees out, really opening out through the hips on the way up as well as the way down. Good, and in fact do as I do and put your hands on your thighs, and actually just sliding your hands down your thighs like that can be quite helpful to give you feedback about where those kneecaps are pointing. Ideally straight out to the side there. Good work. Tailbone tucked under and going straight down to the floor. Good. Glide over to the right. Stretch the hands together like that. Up, round and down. Good, so the hands meet and then you rotate. Good. Keep mindful of both legs. You've got one straight leg, one bent leg, and you're on the side of that bent leg there. Good. Come back up, go to the other side. Hands together, you've got that rotation to start with, and go again. Lovely, coming up. What I want you to do is come up to the side like this. I closed my eyes and lost my balance. Side and up, so the hip is going to the side. And what you'll feel is a stretch in this inner thigh here, right up to the hip joint. Your knees are straight and you're trying to come straight to the side there. Good. Two more. Very nice. Turn those toes in, heels in, toes in, feet are sticking to the mat, so not so clear on that one. Good, good. Little bit of arm work here. So bend your knees, palms facing up, both palms out to the side. And you should gently feel those shoulder blade muscles just pulling together a little bit as you take the hands out to the side. Drop your shoulders down. Think about that soft piece of fruit between your elbow and your body. What could it be? A ripe plum, I think, is probably the right thing, isn't it? Or a peach. Coming into season. Good. Hands out, stretch out with your arms, but keep the shoulders down. Make those adjustments along the way. Hands out, arms out. Elbows in, hands back together. Knees a little bit bent. Weight back through your heels. Good. Take your hands out and your arms out and rotate down and up and continue whilst thinking about pushing your shoulders down. Good. Lengthen the back of the neck, push the shoulders down, draw in through the lower tummy. Feel the stretch down to the fingertips by pushing outwards with the hands. Good. Keep the palms up. Rotate into the front again. Rotate. Keep your hips pointing forwards. Almost think about pushing forward the hip that you're going towards. So I'm going towards my left. I push my left hip forwards a little bit there. That corrects me and holds my hips in the right position. Good. Can we maintain these arms just a little bit longer? Elbows and hands together and back out again. Keep thinking about that posture, bottom tucked under. Pull up tall. Good. And on the next one, arms are out, push straight up and down. Good, my arms are starting to ache and I'm quite strong, so those of you who consider yourselves to have weak arms, probably feeling it. Nice, but you may roll your shoulders and just ease out some of that tension that you've built up through there. So, coming on to the end of your mat, I'm going to have a quick drink. Feet forwards, hips, feet forwards and hip width apart. Breathe in. Breathe out and curl down, chin first, curl your body all the way down to the floor. Good. Bend and straighten each knee. Arms heavy, head heavy. Breathe. Bend and straighten both knees a few times. Feeling that stretch to the backs of the legs. Hook your hands together and come over. That's quite a nice stretch after doing all of that arm work. Whoop, using the hand grip. Good. Coming down and walking forwards. So, we're hands and knees. Good. And let's just take the weight from the right hand and knee to the left hand and knee. So we're feeling where our posture is, where our body is. Coming from side to side, draw in that lower tummy. Great. Let's lift the right arm forwards, up and pulse there. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come down, out to the side, and again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Stretch straight back and up. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lovely, come down. Stretch forward and lift and go again. 1 and down and sideways and lift. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 2, 1. Good. Behind and lift. 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Stretch back with that right leg. Draw, tuck bottom under and stretch out with that leg. Lift and down. Good. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10 on the same leg. Bend and straighten, tapping your toes down. 4, 5, 6, 7. Good. Lift, circle out. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Getting tired, I'm sure. Circle the other way. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, come in. It feels very difficult, but I tell you what, it's not really that different to doing each exercise on each side. So we're going to repeat that on the other leg. Stretch back, draw in your tummy, lift and down. 6, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Toes in contact with the floor, and off we go. 8, 7, 6, 3, 2, 1. Good. Lift, circle outwards. 4 little circles. Good. Circle in. Lovely, come down. They do feel tiring. Sit back onto your heels. And hips down and forwards. Good. Sit back on the heels. And forwards. Onto the heels again. And let's do 2 more because these are feeling particularly nice today. Lovely. Turning around. Both knees bent and hands hooked together around your knees there. You're trying to keep the distance between your knees and your feet as well though. And curl back. You're still holding on, but your elbows straight. And then you bend your elbows and pull your way back up. Curl back, good. Scoop in and pull up tall. Drop your shoulders. More. 10. Lovely. Coming down onto your elbows here. So if at any point this becomes uncomfortable through the shoulders or the elbows or the body at all, you can do all of these exercises flat. So it's our usual routine. So you plant yourself in that nice position there, propped up on the elbows, push away, tuck the chin, feet hip width apart. Rock the pelvis a few times to see if you can feel what that neutral is, and you usually have to just work to keep up the lower back there, and then lifting and lowering each leg. Good. Keep working that lower tummy. Access it through your pelvic floor, just tighten through the pelvic floor, and that should access the deep abdominals and keep them strong. Lovely, outwards. 2, 3, 6. Good, trying not to rock the hips from side to side and push yourself up out of those shoulders. Good, now stretch away and come back in. Push away with the heel but lead back in a little bit more with the toe. More. Brilliant. In this position we can bring the knees and the toes together and we can roll over to the side and then the other. Good. Picking up the hip, rolling over to the side. 6. Pushing up out of the shoulders. Lovely, still in this position. If we can, bring the feet hip width apart. We can bring the right leg up, left to join it, right down, left down. Keep going, keep pushing up and drawing in the tummy. Two more. And then we're going to swap sides, other leg first. Good. Lovely. Point the toes if you want. If you feel uncomfortable with that, pull the toes up. Brilliant. Give the legs a shake. And let's last one in this position, I think. Tabletop, out, in, down, and then the other leg. Tabletop, out, in, down. Good. Keep going, pushing up out of the shoulders, nice and strong. Two more. Lovely. Let's come down onto our backs there, and it's quite a relief around the shoulders to do that. Have your hands behind your head and let's come into a crunch, keeping the elbows nice and wide, tuck the chin. All it is head and shoulders off. So as you know with my crunches, you maintain that little arch in the lower back and you keep your tummy drawn in and you're in a crunch. Let's bring the legs up to tabletop there and tap and lift in that crunch position. Tap and lift. Good. Keep drawing in the tummy. Keep thinking about those elbows being wide. Good. Now 20 fast ones. Off we go. 2, 3, 7, 8. Try not to push the toes up too high. They only come back up to that tabletop position. Good. 3, 2, 1. Lovely. And come back down. Heels, bring those heels in, curving out, shoulder bridge, and back down. Let's shoulder bridge, knees out, knees in, and curl down. And go again, shoulder bridge, knees out, knees in, curl down. 2 more of these, coming up, out, in, down. And go again, curl up, out, in, down. Lovely. Hands behind your head again. Crunch. Legs up to tabletop. We're going out and in with each leg. Make sure those elbows are still nice and wide. You're tucking the chin, drawing in through your tummy. Good. Lovely. On the next one, we're going to come down and up for 5. Down, 1, 2, keeping strong through your middle. Nice. Bring it in. Other leg out. Off we go. 5. Nice. And come back down. 100. Stay in that crunch. Stretch your fingertips down towards your toes and pulsing up and down. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Think about the breathing. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. In, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5. In through your nose and out through your mouth. 2, 3, 4, 5. Out. In. Out. Right hand behind the head. Right leg up. And off we go. 5, out. In, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out. In, out. Swap leg and arm, and off we go again. In, out, in, out, in, out. Lovely. Bring everything down there. That's quite a lot on the tummy there, so let's come onto our sides. prop your head in your hand, tuck your bottom hip back, tuck your ribs back, scoop and tuck your bottom under. Push that top knee away, elongate from here, pushing down and away there. Always have some action going on through your abdominals as well. And pushing out and away and lift with that knee. Good. 10, a 10-second hold. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 10 pulses. 10, 9, 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Down, feet up, and off we go. 2, 3, 4, 6. Good. Hold at the top. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 10 pulses. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think that was it, wasn't it? Coming down. Okay, legs out straight, both of them. Up and down with that top leg. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hold at the top. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And pulses there. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lovely. Let's move to the other side. Head in your hand. Tuck your bottom hip back. Tuck the ribs back. Bottom tucked under. I'm going to wait for that train and do that again. Bottom hip tucked back. Ribs tucked back. Bottom tucked under. Push that top hip away, scoop your bottom under. Done that a couple of times now. Push out and lift. 7, 8, 10. Hold at the top. 9, 8, 7, 6, 3, 2, 1. Pulse there. 3, 2, 1. Coming down, feet up. 7, 6, 2, 1. Hold at the top. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And pulse there. 1. Both legs out straight. Okay, off we go, up and down. 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. Pulse. Hold at the top. 10, 9, 7, 6, 5. Draw in. 3, 2, 1. Pulses. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Amazing. Little bit of a boring section there, I find sometimes, so well done. Cross your legs, come forwards, and that'll stretch out those glutes a little bit, coming from side to side. Good, and that should stretch through your back a little bit. There. And then we need to come round, so we need to do that nice stretch around. Lovely. Keep breathing, a nice breath in and a breath out. It'll be quite good. Good. Hook one leg around to come into that mermaid position, and why not come down onto the elbow and over. 1. Good. 2. Push up and over with that arm. 3, 4. Last one. Lovely. Other side, hook your legs around that way, pull yourself up tall, and off we go. 1. If it feels better to have a straight arm there, then keep it straight. Depends what feels like a nice thing to stretch, and you can alternate through bending this arm and keeping it straight. Last one. Good. Bring your legs around to here, but if that's uncomfortable, then you could sit on your heels or you could kneel up or something. But I want you to take your right hand onto your head, the left hand is on the floor here, and you're just pulling your head over to stretch to the side there. Push this shoulder down. Then over to the other side. Good. Taking that right arm straight out to the side, other hand here on the front of the chest. Turn the palm to face away from you there and the fingers back. And I want you just gently coming back and forward. This is holding this part still. You don't want it to follow the movement. Good. Other side, straight out, hand on the front. Turn the fingertips to point backwards and off you go. Clasp your hands behind your head, and I want you to tuck your chin and push the back of your head into your clasped hands. We're going to hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Curl the whole body down and forwards. And then breathe in as you come up and your elbows come wide. Good, breathe out. Breathe in. Two more. Last one. Good, brilliant. Coming onto the elbows here. Clasp your hands together. Onto the elbows, knees on the floor and toes tucked under. Your bottom is down, so we're not back here. You come forwards over your wrists, over your elbows, and we straighten one leg back and push away into the heel for 10 seconds. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come down, straighten out the other one. 2, 1, come down. So we're still in that sort of elongated position there. You can stretch your right leg out. I want you to lift and down like that. The other knee is on the floor and the toes tucked under. Bring that knee in. Remember, not too far. Toes tucked under, the other leg out. 10. Lovely. Bring those knees in, and in fact sneak one underneath you there to stretch out the glute. Shuffle and stretch out the other leg out behind you there, so you're sinking down into the knee that's underneath you. Good. Bring that one back and the other one underneath you. Stretching out with the straight leg. Good, good. coming down onto your front, and in fact keep the elbows in position for now. Have your hands in a prayer position and drop through the shoulders. You should feel a bit of a stretch there through the shoulder blades, and then push up and away. 2, 3. Good, keep going. 6, try and go as far as you can in each direction. 2 more. Great, come down flat. Make a pillow for your forehead, and then I want you to bend, flex the foot, point and down. And you'll need my explanation again there because of the train. So other foot, point, flex, point and down. And off we go. Point, flex, point and down. Keep going. Down. One more each leg. Brilliant. Along the same lines, bend one knee, stretching through the quad. Settle your body so both hips feel like they're down on the floor. Push your knee away, pull the heel towards your bottom. Good. And swap. Other hand getting hold of the foot. Push the knee away, tuck your bottom under. Good work. Coming up, one leg in front. Stretch the arms straight up as you tuck under and lunge forwards there. And then we come back into that hamstring stretch. See if you can get your hands down on the floor, even just those fingertips. And if you do struggle with that, you could have one hand and be over to the side slightly there. Bring that leg in, stretch the other one out. Oh, and come up, arms up, lunge forwards. Coming back into that heel, stretching the back of the leg. Good. Excellent. Bring that leg back, and then we'll come around into sitting with our legs out straight. Good. Walk your hands forwards a little bit, see how far you can get. Pulling yourself up tall. Good work. See if we can come over to the side like that. And then to the other side. I'm diagonal, I'm going towards my foot, and to the side there, towards the foot with each one. With your hands a little bit behind you, try rolling your toes slightly forwards and back. Rolling the toes forwards and back, coming from the hip always feels a little bit awkward, but does release things in and around the hip there. Good work. All right, so coming back onto your hands and knees, turn your toes under, stretch your bottom up, and walk one heel at a time down to the floor. Walk your hands to your feet and hang there. Get hold of the opposite shoulder around the back. That creates just a little bit more stretch through those shoulders. Also, you're not reminded about how far you get your fingertips down to the floor too. Good. Curling your way back up. Good. Rolling through your shoulders. Let's stretch up with the right arm to finish off the last exercise today. Stretch up, stretch down with the other. Circle around, a nice big movement to the front and curl up. Other one up and down, circling around, hands together, to the front and curl back up. Brilliant. Well done everyone on that session today.